We did the Mechaber and the Ramah. The Mechaber, it said, just let's do it again. Yeshomrim shein lasus talus shel pishton. The Mechaber says you should not make a talus made of linen, four-cornered garment. Although we don't rule this way, you're permitted. Yorishimam Yetze is kulam, those are talus shel tzemer chelim. A Yorishimam should have a talus made of what? Of sheep's wool. The Reiser. Shuchai b'tzitzis min a Torah pikbuk. Because a talus made of wool, without any question, it's a Torah obligation. Although the Mechaber says you should not make the four-cornered garment made of linen, but if that's the only four-cornered garment you're able to come upon, it's best you should make it of linen, because that's the only tzitzis that qualify. You can't put on any other material, because it has to be the same. Rather than being mevatel, not fulfilling the mitzvah of tzitzis. Mishna Berura, shel pishton. The Gozul Chazal mishum da'osu yemuchrach lasus bo tzitzis shel pishton. Because if it's a garment made of pishton, of linen, the tzitzis have to be made of linen tzitzis. Yishloch shem yasa gamkin tchelis. He may put on tchelis. But tchelis can only be applied to what kind of string? Only a wool string. If he wears that garment in the nighttime, the reason why you're permitted, it's asay dochalos asay, because the mitzvah is in effect. But when nighttime comes where the mitzvah is no longer in effect, what do? You have a problem. Shows ein zman kiyama mitzvah. But the question is today we'd have to be concerned. We have no tchelis, so the person has no reason to put a wool string into the linen garment. And one time we had tchelis, he'd say, it was a gzeira, it was best not to wear a linen garment, because you may put wool in it, because wool has relevance to tchelis, and you may wear the garment at nighttime. But today we have no tchelis, so under no circumstance could you have that woolen string in the linen garment. So if that's the case today, there shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to wear a four-cornered linen garment, and with linen tzitzis, it shouldn't be a problem. Svirlu. The Mechaber is of the position, because once the fence was enacted, was legislated, the gzera is in place. We have the Gemara in Avodah Zorah. We speak about Yenom, that the wine of a Jew is not permitted to drink. You're not permitted to benefit from. Why? So it's what? It's Mishum ben Noseim. Because there's a question, what? What do you say? No. Wine of a non-Jew, a Jew is not permitted. Non-Jew, a Jew is not permitted to even benefit from. So the Gemara says initially when they made the Gzeira, it was not only Yenim, it was Shamnam, even olive oil. The olive oil of the non-Jew, a Jew is not permitted. Exactly as wine, because the whole idea is the social interaction. Because it ultimately can lead to assimilation. Wine is the social beverage. Oil is a staple in terms of ingredient in bread and other things. So also it could bring about the same problem. So wait one second. So the Gemara says,
If I'm entertaining Goyim, I can't open a bottle of wine and put it in certain wine.
we're talking about non-kosher wine. Non-kosher wine.
I'm talking about kosher wine.
Kosher wine you could, but not in the pub. You can't do it in the location. It's a separate discussion. Okay. So now. So they said originally, but the Gemara says in Avodah Zarah, they realized it was too difficult. It's Gzeir Shenatziv Yochel Lamod Bo. It was a decree. It was a fence. It was beyond. So it says therefore it became permitted. So there's a Machlokes Rishonim. The question is, did they rescind it? Did they rescind it? Well, no, because it was Gzeir Shenatziv Yochel Lamod Bo. If they didn't rescind it, it stands on the books. They have to rescind it. Is it naturally not in effect? Because it's Gzeira Shenatziv Yochel Lamod Bo. Right? So for all intents and purposes, it has no relevance. Or do we say no, even though it has no relevance, but since it's been legislated, you're bound. Despite the fact how difficult it may be. So the Rishonim say it had to be rescinded. So even though it really has no application, because it's beyond their ability, it's really burdened them to the point where it's not going to bring back good things, they had to actually rescind the halacha, the law that they actually had legislated. So the same thing says, even today we don't have tchelis, but there was no reason to rescind it. You know something? So you don't put a wool string in the linen garment. But they said you shouldn't wear a linen garment since there's a possibility. You may put that string in when you do have tchelas. Today we don't have it, but we don't have it. So therefore, that law stays on the books that you're not permitted to wear. The others say no. It's only as long as it's possible. That's the way they originally promulgated the law. You understand?
When they say that they will not keep from the top
Just one. Well, carry, that's the only one.
When they say that they came without that, does that mean that
Same thing, same shiloh, same question.
So, we learn that positive and negative commandments are pitted against each other.
Once.
We learn this from tzitzis.
Correct.
That's so now. So
in the evening.
When tefillin was available, there would be no problem having a woolen tzitzit in a linen garment.
It was a problem. They still said it was a problem.
Even then.
Even then. They said it's best not to wear a linen garment. Why? Because you may wear the garment at nighttime. At nighttime, the mitzvah is not in effect. So it's only one supersedes the other. That's only if the mitzvah is in effect. At nighttime, there's no mitzvah. So at night, you're wearing combination wool and linen. You're not permitted. Only during the daytime period. So they made a fence. They legislated a fence. You should not wear a four-corner linen garment when you have tchelas, because inevitably it's gonna come to a problem. You're gonna wear it when you're not permitted to wear it. She said, but today the concern is not a concern because we have no tchelas. The person has no reason to put the woolen thread string into the linen garment because there's no tchelas. Because you could be yotzi the mitzvah just the same with what? With a linen string. You don't need a wool string.
How does the Torah express it?
Urisimosa, but it says urisimosa. When you forecourt, you should put tzitzis.
Right,
So if we asay dochalos asay. When you have one pitted against the other, one supersedes the other. Wait, but then the Torah qualifies. And when is the mitzvah in effect? In the parshas tzitzis, urisimoso. When you see it, that means during the daytime period. That's when the mitzvah is in effect. So when you have the mitzvah pitted against the los asay, one overrides the other, supersedes the other. But at night we don't have the mitzvah. So what is it? Just a combination of one linen. You're not permitted to wear it.
Again, are the obligations on the garment or
On the person. On the person. You have a four-corner garment in your drawer. Doesn't have to have tzitzis on it. It's called chovas gavra. The obligation is on the person. The other, the expression chovas mona. The obligation is to have on the garment, on the article of clothing. There's no obligation.
So the person was wearing a talit katan, suppose it was a linen one, with woolen strings and tchelet.
And nighttime comes.
And nighttime comes.
It's a problem. He's in violation of wearing woolen linen. A combination of
He
shatnez.
said, then he's violation of shatnez.
Shatnez. Once shkia comes, it's a suffix. You may be when nightfall comes, you're definitely violating. They'll get malchus. They'd have to take it off. They would have to take it off.
What you might say is he's been over it.
So is that what they did? From our time?
No, so that's why they said no. That's why they said you shouldn't wear such a garment for this reason. What the people are going to have to look at their watches. It becomes complicated. So they said you shouldn't wear such a garment. Not a problem. When they officiated, when you're officiating, there's no problem. And even before they take it off, they're permitted to wear it. Because they're in a location where they officiate. First, it's a shiloh. It's not. The Kohen Hedjit didn't have shatnez. The question is the Kohen Gadol had shatnez in his garments. The vestments of the Kohen Gadol had there's a question that had shatnez. His belt had wool and linen. It's a question whether it had wool and linen. The Kohen Hedjit, the ordinary Kohen, was all linen. There was no wool in his only one garment. Okay. V'harbe poskim hitiru b'zeh. But many poskim ruled that today that this problem is not possible. It wasn't just legislated regardless if it applies or not. Tzvilu di'ikar akzer l'hoya rak shlo yatilu b'tchelos kedei shlo yovu lidei tekilayim. Avo lo al dechuti apishton. He says the gzer was only if you have wool strings, that garment you shouldn't wear. But if you want to wear a linen garment with pishton strings, with linen strings, it's not a problem. They never legislated ever, even in the ancient days. You're permitted to wear that kind of garment. Only a linen garment, if you're going to put tcheles, that you should not wear that kind of garment with the combination.
The ideal would be a woolen garment.
There you can't have any problem, ever. That's the idea.
That would be the minhag.
That's the mitzvah in its fullest sense. Without any issue. There's no issue there.
So the issue...
With the woolen garment, woolen tzitzis with chelis. That's what he's talking about. Well, today we don't have it in either case. You won't, so you won't. But the others, you have a problem. Therefore, the Ramah concludes, if you're not able to fill the mitzvah any other way, the only garment you have is a four-cornered linen garment. You can rely on those lenient opinions that it is appropriate to wear such a garment.
That's what Shine said.
The raw wool.
He wrote all these two races.
I'm not sure if they were. Could have someone may have
These
become.
were all the chumras that he was...
What do you mean, chumrah? If you wear one woolen garment with tzitzis, or you put on 40, so you're doing the same thing 40 times. Why he wore so many, I don't know. I'm not sure why he wore so many.
As I'm saying, what I'm asking is, were there different, these various positions, a linen garment with linen...
So what you're saying, it doesn't make sense. Because according to some, you're not permitted. Well, he wanted to be outside the lenient opinion, but simultaneously he may have been violating another opinion. Right? Doesn't make any sense. No, I have no idea. He was thinking something. I'll tell you what my Rosh Hashanah said. He was older than Scheinberg. He says, "Ich verstehe nicht, was tut." That's what he said. Exactly. He says, "I never heard anybody wearing that." He came up with this, whatever it was. No, of course he had a basis, but it was his own innovation. Nobody ever wore this, did what he did.
But when a smart person does something that's out of the box a little bit, not the same person.
No, nobody ever chas v'sholem. But it means what they want to say, right away people want to emulate things, certain types of behavior. You don't want this to be emulated,
I'm sure Yeshiva, if you talk to somebody.
I'm sure they understand the rationale. Probably he explained it to them. He did explain it to them. Okay? Tal shepish kolshkein demutalasas tal shel sharminim. If the Ramos says you're permitted to wear tal shel pishna made of linen, so if you have a cotton garment, there's no question. V'tzis shel pishton kshein lo tzitzis acherim kedei shlisbat la mitzvah. Tzitzis shel pishton yuchalismol hamatirim gam le'yin brocho, and you can rely on. You normally say sofi brochos lohokel. This other opinion is a substantial opinion that you're even permitted to say a broch posh l'yeshlo talus godlu shel tzemer. But of course, if you have one of your large talus is made of wool, and let's say your talus cotton is made of linen, yivorech olav yichave liftor zeh. You should have in mind that the broch on talus godlu is going to cover the talus cotton. Mogarom kosev nearly diaseb lo kanfer shalor v'yata bo tzitzis tzemer. Achron mefakma say here what he says. If you have a linen garment, if you make leather corners. We said, how do you classify a garment based on the majority of its makeup? The provision of sharpness is what? Tying it into the wool itself. So if you put leather corners, leather corners onto this woolen garment. So even though the garment's classified as a wool garment, it's not sharpness. Of course, when you're tying the wool strings, it's not into the wool itself. Let's say you have corners, and you sew the corners. You stitch the leather together with linen threads, and the garment's wool. You're not wearing a combination of wool and linen, because it's not in the wool. The thread is not in the wool. That's what the Mogen Avram is saying. So if you have a linen garment, if you put leather corners and you stitch them on, You put woolen strings in that.
You could use anything other than wool.
But the strings,
For the corn.
for the corn, you can use anything, sure.
To get around this.
Correct.
Would there be offense against doing this, or is this okay?
It says Achron the fact that the Achron they question Magen Avram because maybe it's not so simple. Maybe when Torah says you're not permitted to wool in a linen garment, doesn't mean it has to be actually be attached where the wool is. It's part of the woolen garment. The garment is classified as wool. This garment is comprised of wool and linen. It's a problem, even though in physical sense it's not going through the woolen part of the garment, but it's based on the classification.
You say it's a leather garment, you would say
It's a woolen garment.
Again, normally we learned before the war that leather is not higher than tzitzis.
It's not. It's not. It doesn't make a difference.
So
But you put it in tzitzis on because of the garment. It's the garment. The garment's a woolen garment. The garment has to have tzitzis on it.
eternal contradiction.
But the garment's not leather. Correct.